conversations that you have to have with your employees. Now we're going into uncharted territory and talking about your clients.
Yeah, these are more fun to have because uh, clients can have the spectrum of relationships from great relationships to toxic relationships.
Yes, it is a very wide spectrum for sure. I'm BJ Flagg.
And I'm Rich G, and this is episode 210, having tough conversations with your clients.
Yes. And it was interesting the reaction to the employee side of things.
Yes,
Lots of discussions came up, which I thought was really interesting.
I thought well, you know what? It's funny is though people tend to procrastinate on these things and because it's not fun. It's
Yeah.
difficult. You know, everyone hates having that conversation with your client.
Oh my gosh, raising prices or unexpected costs, bad behavior, client procrastination.
Yeah, and the worst, firing your client.
Yes, that is a very bad one.
So some of our tips might sound a bit the same, but they're really different when it comes to clients.
Yeah, we wanted to be able to have that yin yang of kind of understanding the reaction that you need to do. What do you need to do? And we thought, oh, wait a minute. This is going to give everybody a perspective.
So tip number one is don't procrastinate and wait for it to go away. And I think it's even worse, you know, with employees, it's tough. With clients, since they're paying you or they're a customer of yours, you really don't want to have that conversation. They might be abusing you in some way or abusing the service or one of your employees, and you really don't want to burn the bridge, but it's like, don't procrastinate. No one likes to have a tough conversation with their client because it sucks. It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. And you know what? We'd rather hold off and see if things get better, but they rarely do. They rarely do.
Yeah, especially if your client is toxic or taking massive advantage of your services.
Yeah. And I really feel that, instead of waiting, you need to address it immediately before they get comfortable with the new situation.
Yeah,
Everybody pushes a boundary. If the boundary moves a little bit, they're just going to keep pushing.
yeah. Just as an aside, this is a very simple one. I offer lifelines to all my clients. Let them call, text, or email me in between sessions,
Yeah.
and that's usually fine. Not many clients take advantage of it, and if they do, they call me during the day. I have this one client that is calling me at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night.
Whoa.
And it's not an emergency, by the way. If it was an emergency, I'd go, let me sit down and take notes. But it's like, well, I got a call back and things the interview went well or this went and I'm like at the end I'm debating. I didn't procrastinate. I said, and she said, you sound kind of tired. I said, well, I was sitting and watching TV with my family. you know and I
Yeah.
said, honestly, we could have waited till tomorrow with this conversation. I go, it's fine, you're going to get a better version of me tomorrow.
That's
and
right.
and
Yeah.
so it's so instead of waiting, you need to address it immediately before they get comfortable with this new situation.
Yeah. And you know what? Set up a quick call, and talk to them specifically about the issue. We had a client who didn't realize that one of the subordinates was sending little tiny changes, literally one at a time, to one of the girls. And I quickly just made a quick call to her boss and said, a okay if we speak to so and so about these are change orders and that gets expensive.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, yeah, God, definitely, absolutely." And I was able to pick up the phone real quick and say, "Oh, we so appreciate your, eagle eyes. So great. We need to pack all the changes into one grouping. We do it all at one time, a lot less expensive. And that'll
Yeah.
be good for you guys." She totally understood. Literally the next time she did it that way. Perfect. So
Easy.
nip it in the bud.
Yeah, and if it's a price rise or change, if you have to talk to a client about raising your rates, build it into a conversation at the end after you've had a major breakthrough or they've just complimented you. Hit them when you're on a high, not when they're critiquing you and you say, I have to raise prices. Um, and be very determined about it. Just say, just wanted to let you know, my rates are going up for the year. We always do it in the October timeframe. So October 1st, my rates are going to go up by 5%, and tell them exactly 5%. It's going to go from this to this.
Yeah, because they're doing budgets. They're
Yeah.
figuring out what they need to do, and really October's the month. So, if you do anything, do it then. It's such a
Yeah.
good suggestion.
But the more that you're determined about the conversation, the better it is. If you're kind of wishy-washy, well, it's that I'm gonna have to be raising my rates. They're gonna see that you're wishy-washy. You need to be very direct with them.
Yeah, for sure. Tip number 2, not a shocker, document. We can't stress this enough. With clients, you need a paper trail. And it's easy to create a process that both you, your employees, and your clients can easily follow.
Yeah.
For us, we use production management software. And Rich, I know you have
Yeah.
your flow and your process, and it's invaluable that everybody understands what steps have to happen on every single job to do that's created. And
Yeah.
then, we do things like record conversations, emails, Zoom meetings, anything that's going to be helpful to that project. We always say, if you look back a year, you're not going to remember.
Yes.
But if you have all that information, people are going to say, oh, yeah, don't you remember when we ran into that? The budget blew out and we had to have a difficult conversation with the client. Let's build it into this year's budget.
Yeah.
Hugely successful.
Clients actually become dependent on the notes and information. It's a great way to keep them engaged. And when there is a disagreement, you both go to the notes for an understanding of what occurred. This is so important. Like when I work with attorneys, attorneys kind of hit people right out of the gate with a retainer
Yeah.
and they fly through that retainer within a week or two, and they don't let the client know that the retainer is now zero and that any other work or conversation is going to be billable. And that's where a lot of attorneys run into problems, and they have to discount the fee because the client freaks out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you need to occasionally look at the flow of data in your software. You may have an employee that hasn't been recording their work, and you need to stress right away how important it is. And and document that.
Yes.
For sure.
Tip 3 is it's hard to be consistent with your handling of your clients. Some clients are more lucrative than others. So it's a reality of business. So you might give them a get out of jail free card a little more often than
Mhm.
usual. But sometimes you give certain clients some more rope with their recalcitrant behaviors.
Yeah, but I think in the end, it usually comes back to bite you. It can in a lot of cases, don't you think?
Yeah. I have some clients that are paying, that have gone out a year, they're like on a year contract with me. And sometimes I give them a little bit of leeway, but it does come back to bite you. So you need to treat your clients the same, or your staff might not understand the change in rules for different clients.
Yeah, because as we said last podcast, with employees, everybody has to be treated the same. Everybody has to be treated the same. With clients, you really just cannot do that because there's a certain level of work that you're going to do for someone who pays 3 times the amount.
Yeah.
And,
And
clients and
yeah.
employees have to know.
And it's funny because, like, there might be, you might have an agreement with a client, and then one of your staff treats them differently and kind of
Yes.
like holds the line. And you suddenly hear, well, you know what? I have a different relationship with BJ. Get her on the phone. And then suddenly you're in this between a rock and a hard place.
Right, right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, put John on the phone. He's a softie. He'll do it for me.
Yeah.
You're like, "Ooh, now we have a problem."
And then
Um,
the employee's mad at you.
exactly, exactly. Tip number 4 is ask for that meeting. Sometimes it's you just gotta cut bait. Gotta
Yeah.
just do it. Sometimes you have to request that meeting with a client who has hired you to discuss the account and the relationship. So you have nothing else that you were going to talk about in that meeting, just the account and the relationship. It's hard. This is
Yeah.
the hardest part, you know? It's not all the best fit. Not every single client is going to be the best. And, it's better to step away sometimes before it gets really too out of hand.
Yeah, be direct and don't beat around the bush. Come to the meeting with a game plan to unravel the relationship and milestones both of you will be able to work with. I had to do this about a month ago where we were at the end of the coaching retainer. And I said, I think you're all set. I think you're ready to go because honestly, I didn't want to work with the client anymore.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a good relationship. And they're like, well, I'd like to just say, honestly, I think we're, you know, really in a good place. You're in a good place. And I really pushed it because they were like on the fence about whether or not I want to work with you. And I didn't want them to really push for I want to work with you more because
Exactly.
it wasn't a
Exactly.
good relationship.
Right. And we always follow through and leave on good terms.
Yeah.
So, obviously with us, we have a lot of, files and information and things like that that have to be kind of reversed, brought back to them. But I can't stress enough, we live on a small planet and everything you do is going to be heard from somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, so I just feel like you have to do everything you can to make sure the process goes well.
Yeah. You leave them, it's tough. People don't like to get fired. People don't, but they recognize smart people recognize this isn't working out. It's not a good fit, or they're in a different place right now. BJ, how many times have you worked with people where they have all these grand ideas and they're paying you money and
Yeah.
they just don't execute? They just don't have time for you. Anything that you ask them to do, they don't do. And
Oh,
it's like then they start resenting you
yeah, I
and you're
know.
you're just like, "Well, I'm
Right?
here, I'm present, I'm trying my best."
Right, right. And I really believe, and this is not going to come as a shocker to me, I just want to remain friendly when they call,
Yeah,
you know? And just remember, it's business, it's not personal. It's just business.
it's like dating someone. Didn't work out. It's been a pleasure knowing you. I had a lot of fun. I think
Yeah.
we should maybe look out in the world for other people, but I've really enjoyed our time together. It's been
Yes.
great dating you. Good luck in everything that you do, you know?
Yeah,
So
and don't badmouth them.
yeah,
Again, size of the planet. You need to make sure that you can say hi to them at a conference or a meeting with no hard feelings.
yeah,
And if somebody says something, oh, didn't you used to work for with them? You say, yeah, nice guy, nice guy.
professional,
Yeah, just
professional.
very professional. Really worked at, yeah. And you don't say anything. What's the worth, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. So our resource this week is a great book by Mary Schmidt, which is Make or Break Conversations: How
Yeah,
Smart Financial Professionals Land New Clients and Keep Them for Life. And this
yeah,
is not only for financial professionals, it's for any business.
yeah.
It's the most powerful way to build trust is through more powerful conversations with your clients.
Yeah, and what is so cool that they always talk about like clients don't want just conversation about facts, figures, numbers, market knowledge, all that. They want to hear about what you're saying, and that you
Yeah.
care. So the crossover to typical businesses is in this book.
Yeah, it's a great book. Check it out. It was just printed about a year ago. It's very up to date. Mary really it helps you with all these different conversations that you have to land new clients, but also keep them. So
Yeah.
that's a powerful thing. And that's it.
Our sponsor today is Rich G, the high performing coach. Are you attracting the wrong types of clients? Not the right fit? Not enough money to pull the trigger? Constantly complain? Are you spending more time on client issues and not growing their business? I've got the prescription. Call and talk with Rich G. One free session will show you that Rich is the real deal. He helps businesses get back on track and make more money without working harder. He helps you work smarter. Go to richg.com and reserve a free session with Rich today.
And our other sponsor is BJ Flag. Do you need a brand marketing partner to be an active and committed part of your resource team? Look no further. I have someone in my community you want to talk to, BJ Flag from New Renew Brand Marketing. They are a full service agency who can work on strategy, messaging, branding to implementation, websites, PR, social media, email marketing. They're the group for you. That's NURENU.com. Thank you to our producer and king of creative, Rich Scalzo, bringing you the best small business podcast every Tuesday. Have an unbelievable week.
Catch you later.